welcome to episode 7 of the MMG podcast, and I am joined yet again by my good friend Gocubs 711.
The best fantasy football strategy is to draft all of the defenses. No one's going to be able to stop you. They don't have a defense.
Oh my god. That, you know what? That I think if you draft all the defenses, then you will easily be like it'll be like an immovable object. And that way, right. you can't, no one can score any points on you.
That's how fantasy football works.
There you go. That's how it works. It's exactly like a football game. All right, welcome everyone to to the episode 7 again of the MMG podcast. But it is a special episode and the start of our NFL prediction series. Yes, that is right. The NFL is back.
What?
It is back this Thursday.
Oh
Here we go.
Oh, shit. Are you as excited as I am, Chris?
I am very excited, and
You're
I think
more excited than I am.
I am very, very excited, and we kicked it off really well this weekend with college football, and especially yesterday.
Don't talk to me about college football.
well, I mean, I know that. I mean, Illinois started out good.
That's a lie.
They won. They're undefeated. Illinois is undefeated, right? But no, we had. I mean, while like the marquee matchup was kind of like a sleeper. Not really that great. We had a really interesting upset happen when Maryland took down Texas. That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And yesterday, a very fun game between West Virginia and Virginia Tech. But alongside that was one of the greatest comebacks of all time in college football, a 34-point comeback by UCLA and future New York Jets quarterback Josh Rosen. I'm kidding. He'll probably, the Jets will figure out a way to not be able to suck all the way, and they'll get like the 5th overall pick and not be able to get a quarterback. So that'll most likely be the case. But it was a really great game, and hopefully the NFL can answer with some great games. And I mean, it's gonna be amazing. And we're gonna start out with like a question. For just I did this last year before the predictions. I asked a question to people who might be in the comment section who all of a sudden show up out of nowhere listening to my ramblings. And I'm gonna ask you, Gocubs, what is the number one thing? It can be anything that you're looking forward to for this season.
The New England Patriots getting a loss.
Wow, that's.
No, I'm kidding. That would be it.
I'm thinking that you're still liking the Patriots. They're like your number 3 or 4 team, but you're like, now you're just like, no, they must lose.
No. I'd say like I'm a fan of like a lot of NFC teams, specifically NFC teams. And I really want to see the ones that maybe didn't do so well last year, see if they can get their groove back and make a statement.
Yeah, and
especially like 4 of my favorite teams are in the same division, the NFC South, and so I just want to see how that division specifically like grows and like how they end up in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have the potential for 3 teams coming out of the NFC South.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think the divisions that are pretty much the deepest right now are the NFC South, the NFC East, and then in the AFC, I would say the AFC West is the deepest division. But
Of course.
I think before Luck's injury, I think we could have made the argument for the AFC South. But now it's a little bit less deep than it was originally. But I still think it's still deeper than the AFC East and the AFC North, who I think will end up being the Patriots and Steelers respectively, winning again. So I don't know. I look forward to the specifically the afternoon games on Sundays. I'm no longer going to be watching Red Zone. I've enjoyed it for the past 2 years, but I'm looking forward to just sitting and just watching one game. I don't care if it's a bad game or not. Just sitting and watching and enjoying like a game without having to switch between a bunch of games and trying to
Yeah,
like focus on all these different scores. Like I can't do it.
keep track of all of them.
Yeah, like that's more for people who are into fantasy, who are into
Yeah.
like keeping track of players and everything. I don't do fantasy a lot. I have one fantasy team this year that is all rookies, so they're not gonna do well anyway. So I'm just gonna sit back, relax. I just look forward to enjoying the season. I look forward to just keeping track of the teams and and going out of my way to use NFL Game Pass and watching every single game individually and really keeping track of how every team plays and performs each week because I feel like in the past I haven't really been able to do that, and this year I feel like I could just dive right in and really pick it apart and really know my shit hopefully.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right. Should we start with do we want to do playoff predictions first?
Let's do week one matchup
All right,
first.
we're gonna do week one. All right. So
Chronological.
yeah, we got.
Chronological.
So we're gonna be doing a bunch of predicting today, previewing the season for a lot of these guys, and we're gonna start with week one. So I actually forgot to tell you off the podcast here, Gocubs, but we're gonna do something a little bit interesting with the predictions. Outside of just picking them, there's gonna be one pick that you're gonna make that's going to be your guarantee pick of the week. Okay,
Okay.
that no matter what situation comes up, that you feel like this team is 100% going to win. So,
Alright.
so whichever game that you feel like that is for, you could go ahead and place it. You can maybe be risky and like go for a team that's like not necessarily favored to win. Like you could do whatever you want with it. And then there's also going to be the chaos team chaos game of the week. And the game that I name as the team chaos game of the week will decide if we feel comfortable going with the underdog. I don't think this week we're going to feel comfortable, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe
Alright.
maybe we might be on edge.
I got to figure out which one of those is which.
Yeah, the guarantee. I have a good idea who I want my guarantee to be.
I've got my team cast for sure. I got it, and I think I have my guarantee. So
Yeah. So there you go. Let's figure out. And by the way, the team chaos thing, like it doesn't have to be like you don't have to necessarily pick team chaos, but what it would be more of like how much chaos would be caused by this team winning, essentially. Yeah. So all right, let's jump right into it with the Chiefs at the Patriots kicking off on Thursday night. The Patriots are the defending Super Bowl champions. Had a miraculous comeback against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this team looks much different than what we saw in Super Bowl 51. For starters, Julian Edelman will be out for the season.
correct.
With a torn ACL, a huge blow, and the Patriots are not going to lose their chances at the Super Bowl, but it doesn't mean it's not going to hurt them a little. Edelman's been one of the best wide receivers in the league for the last 3 or 4 years. I really think I think it's going to hurt them at least a decent amount going forward. But to compensate, they do have a bunch of new running backs. They have most teams have like a 2-headed monster. They have a 4-headed monster in Dion Lewis, James White, Rex Burkhead, and Mike Gillislee. All 4 are going to be used in various different situations, and they traded for Brandon Cooks in the offseason as well. Got from the New Orleans Saints. He's known as being a playmaker, so it'll be fascinating to see if he could play. And
then they also have commons that they had last year, such as Chris Hogan, Malcolm Mitchell,
Yeah,
Danny Amendola.
yeah, yeah.
Brady has a lot of weapons to throw to.
Yeah. You got Rob Gronkowski back this time, healthy. He's gonna be coming back.
Hopefully healthy.
Hopefully he stays healthy, man. I root for Gronk. Dwayne Allen is also on the team. He was traded from the Colts. And speaking of the Colts, you had like a last minute trade in like last week with Jacoby Brissett and being traded to the Colts for Philip Dorsett. I don't know how much Dorsett's going to be playing a role, but he is a former first round pick, hasn't really lived up to his potential. Maybe the Patriots can crack that open. And on defense, well, the front seven still, I'm not like the biggest fan of their front seven. It's not necessarily like, it's not great. They still have Hightower, they have Branch, but Stephon Gilmore is replacing Logan Ryan at cornerback. That should be a significant addition for them. While the Chiefs, meanwhile, they're looking pretty similar. Now, while they did draft their quarterback of the future in Patrick Mahomes, we don't expect him to start anytime soon. Alex Smith is going to be their starter for now. They lost Spencer Ware, who was supposed to be their starting running back, but now you have Kareem Hunt. Yeah, Kareem Hunt from Toledo taking the reins. The wide receivers was also a shock when Jeremy Maclin was released. Just hasn't performed to the level that they wanted him to. So now he has went to Baltimore. They're going to stick with Tyreek Hill as their wide receiver number 1. Meanwhile, the defense seems as strong as ever, but there is some issues, some holes at least in the secondary. Even though Marcus Peters and Eric Berry stand strong. So we'll see what happens in this game. What do you think? How do you think can the Chiefs topple the defending Super Bowl champs?
I think the Chiefs are going to have a really successful season, but not this first week.
Yeah, you think
I think the Patriots are a clear winner here. This isn't my lock, but it's definitely the clear choice. I believe.
Yeah, I'm gonna. You know what? While I'm doing this, I'm gonna just start writing down these picks
for
myself. And all right, so yeah, I agree. I think the Patriots are just the better team going to the situation. This is a rematch. This last time that these two teams played, it was back in 2015, and it was the playoffs. The Chiefs came close. It was the final score was 27-20, and they lost on a drive where they just had terrible time management, which has always haunted Andy Reid as a coach. I really think that this game is going to be closer than some might think, but I just think the Patriots have, they have all the tools to win this game. It might be tough for all those offensive weapons to kind of run well on the first week, but we'll see how it develops over the season. But I think they're going to be fine in this game. So, all right. Let's go from the winners of the Super Bowl to the losers of the Super Bowl. We're going to go to the Falcons at the Bears at Soldier Field. This is the primary game on Fox at 1 p.m. And the Falcons suffering from potentially a Super Bowl hangover, maybe? Well, I don't know. We'll see about that, because not really anyone was lost. I think the worst play or the best player that they lost this offseason was Patrick DeMarco. Meanwhile, the defense improved. They got to Karis McKinley in the first round. I just don't think that this team looks pretty much the same. I think maybe their worst their worst loss overall maybe be Kyle Shanahan, who goes over to San Francisco. Steve Sarkisian takes over, but Steve Sarkisian, he was the Alabama offensive coordinator during the national championship in college football last time. Obviously, it ended up not working out for them. Clemson ended up winning, but he has a history of being a great offensive mind. I don't think, especially with the weapons that the Falcons have, if Matt Ryan continues playing at the level he is, I really don't think they're going to slow down anytime soon. But football is mental. You never know if it's going to affect them.
I know that fantasy football isn't necessarily related to how actual games turn out. It kind of is, but and I could be mistaken. But just from what I've noticed, overall, like Atlanta has like in Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Devonta Freeman, they have some of the probably the highest value out of any team. Matt Ryan is going like roughly 6 quarterback overall. Julio Jones is like a top 5 overall pick. Devonta Freeman's in the top 10. They have monsters on their team offensively.
Yeah, it is insane. They're just it's deep all around on offense, and the offensive line is great. It's just they are in a really great spot. It's hard for me to really see them slowing down, but again, you never know. I think we probably said the same about the Panthers last year, and you saw what happened. But for some reason, in my mind, I just think it's different because I think the Panthers, their mentality going into last year was kind of that they wanted to forget about the Super Bowl, that they're just moving on, but that ended up not working. The Falcons, I think, are more owning it. They're like, look, we know that we lost. We were just going to try to overcome it, but we do remember what happened in that game. We're going to use it as a chip on our shoulder. It's a different strategy that I think than what the Panthers had, so we'll see how it works out for them. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bears has a new face of the franchise, and his name is Mike Glennon, at least for now. Mike Glennon was signed to a big contract, but then, as we all thought, Mike Glennon was the lock to be the quarterback of the future, at least for now, for the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky, number 2 overall, gets drafted by the Bears, and he has a pretty great preseason, but it is not enough to have him topple Mike Glennon. Glennon had one really nice game against the Titans in preseason week 3, so that kind of pretty much locked that starting job in. But it'll be interesting to see if Glennon does not perform well, if we're going to see Trubisky this year. Also, the defense does not look too bad. I mean, considering that the offense is going to be using a lot of like Jordan Howard and all of them, like offensive line wise, and the offensive line has been good. Jordan Howard has been great. They're going to be running the ball, so I feel like the defense being like stuffing offenses, I think that there's a chance for it. And Jordan Howard running the ball probably a lot, considering maybe Mike Glennon has his limitations. This could be a really like smash mouth football team. I know the Titans kind of have that. I knew that. I knew you were gonna sing that. The Titans have kind of coined the term exotic smash mouth, but the Bears, I think there is some possible way that they could contend this year, but it's going to be tough, especially losing Cameron Meredith, who was like I said, like he was expected to be their number 1 wide receiver this year, and now they have to rely on Kevin White, who to some scouts say he's kind of looking like a fullback, which is not that good for a wide receiver. No. So we'll see what happens. Go Cubs, your team. Can they topple the NFC champs?
You know what? This is actually my lock. Like, no doubt in my mind that the Falcons are going to beat the Bears.
Yeah, so you guarantee it.
I guarantee that the Falcons are going to win this game.
There you go. And guess what? This is my luck too. I think the Falcons are easily going to beat the Bears. And look, again, we'll see maybe if the Super Bowl hangover kind of overcomes them, but I think that's really the only thing that's going to slow this team down. If not, I think that they're going to roll over the Bears. I said that there's a potential for defense, really good defense on the Bears. They have some great players, especially in second-year player Leonard Floyd, who could absolutely make the leap, but the secondary still bothers me a little bit, and the defensive line is still not up to speed. I think the Falcons. Yeah, I think the Falcons torched them, honestly. But hey, if I swear, if we just did a guarantee for this game and the fucking Bears win, I know you'll be happy, but
I will be elated.
And I think the way that we'll do the scoring here is essentially like if you are right, then you'll get 2 points instead of like maybe 1. And then, but if you're wrong, you lose 2 points. So you're right. So it's and we'll factor all that in. Once we get to that. But yeah,
Are
good.
you
Good.
keeping track of yours and mine?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And luckily we'll have it on record. So if anything, we can come back and watch and look at it. All right, let's go to the number one game at the 1 p.m. slot of CBS. The Oakland Raiders heading to Tennessee to play against the Tennessee Titans in what should be a very fun battle, a very offensive heavy battle.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because this is the game of the quarterback comeback. Both of these guys in the same week got the same injury that ended their season. I believe both got just like I think a broken fibula or something like that.
Yeah.
Derek Carr is going to be coming back for the Raiders, and now he has a few more weapons to add. Jared Cook comes over from the Packers. He's the hero from probably the best playoff game last year in the Packers Cowboys game.
Yeah.
And in addition, look who's back out of retirement, and
Beast mode.
that is Marshawn Lynch. That was one of the best moments of the offseason when he came back. I was just like, oh my god, of course. But they needed a running back, and he does not look like he's slowing down. The concern, I think, for a lot of people with him is if he's going to keep, like, if he's going to be able to return to 2014 form, because back in 2015 he wasn't really, he kind of was slow, he was injured a little bit, and so he didn't really have that strong of a season. They're hoping that he comes back big. But the biggest question for the Raiders outside of that, though, is their defense. Khalil Mack is great, but that linebacking core is, might as well just be a ham sandwich just sitting in the middle of the field. And the secondary also has concerns. They drafted high draft picks for the secondary, but right now neither of those guys I don't think are starting. They're starting veterans instead, and I don't know how reliable those guys are going to be. So there's a lot of concern for me on that front.
Yeah.
But as for the Titans, like I said, Mariota is going to come back from his injury, and he has quite a few new weapons. Corey Davis drafted 5th overall to the Titans. I think that he's going to be healthy. I think that's that they held him out of the preseason so that way he can recover, and it seems like he is going to be ready to go. Eric Decker comes over from the Jets. That should be very interesting. And you still have two great running backs behind you in Murray and Henry. You still have Delaney Walker, who's your go-to. You still have a great offensive line. Like, that offense is just stacked overall. The defense is actually better, I think, right now than the Raiders, because they're a bunch of young players, and they were able to win a lot of games last year up front. I guess the only concern still is the secondary, because they do get Logan Ryan from the Patriots, but he is not amazing, and he did in the preseason, he did blow a lot of coverage. And Adoree Jackson is just not ready. They're starting someone else over him, I think. I don't know if who's in front of him though is really going to be that great of a lockdown corner. So we'll have to see what happens. But I do think it's going to be a shootout. Go Cubs! 2 contenders. Who will come out on top?
This, I think, was the closest one for me overall. One of the 2 closest ones. But I think in terms of working together, maybe not even that. But the Raiders had a very huge success last season, and honestly, I think might have been at least like dark horse Super Bowl contenders had Carr not gone down. And I
sure.
think I think, and I know it's different season to season, but with the addition of Beast Mode, and with the success that they had last season, I think the Raiders are going to win.
All right. I'm gonna this is gonna be the first one that I defer. I'm going with the Titans. I just think right now that while I think the Raiders offense has a lot more potential than the Titans, I think the defense is going to haunt the Raiders this year. And
Gotcha.
if they can pull it out, I mean, they did before. I think they have a great chance, but but I just the Titans to me overall, just they look better on paper. In my eyes, I'm gonna go with the Titans to win at home, and it should be. I think that's gonna be one of the best games of the season to start out. I'm really looking forward to watching that on Game Pass. I can't watch it live because I'm stuck with Jets at Bills. We'll get to that one later. All right, the number 2 game at 1 p.m. for Fox. It is the Eagles at the Redskins. I'll be watching this one live. Carson Wentz is looking to rebound from a sloppy end to his year. But the biggest thing I think that his sloppiness had to deal with was that they lost Lane Johnson for a suspension for a lot of the season. And then when he came back, they played a little bit better. I think that mixed with Alshon Jeffrey coming back or joining the team. Alshon Jeffrey is one of the great wide receivers in the league right now. Torrey Smith is also going to be joining them as well. And then you have on defense, I think they have the best. At least they did have the best defensive line in the league. At least it's the second best with the additions of Timmy Jerrigan, Derek Barnett, and then of course they also have Fletcher Cox in the mix as well, who's always played great. Brandon Graham as well. All of them have played great. I think that's going to be a really strong defensive front right there. And they also added Ronald Darby from the Bills in the trade that sent Jordan Matthews over to the Bills. He's going to be an interesting addition. He had a down year, but he could end up playing pretty well for the Eagles. He's gonna be this is gonna be the first time I think he'll be a quarterback at number 1. So there might be some issues there. The secondary as a whole is a little bit wary, but I think the Eagles have a really strong one there, a strong defense. Meanwhile, the Redskins, once again, Kirk Cousins is entering a contract year. This is going to be a never-ending storyline. It'll be his 7th or 8th year on the fucking franchise tag, and he's still going to be paid ridiculously because of it, because they don't want to fucking extend him. It's one of the most annoying off-season storylines to me. But I'm concerned with the fact that they lost Deshaun Jackson, they lost Pierre Garçon, and they have Terrell Pryor now from the Browns, who played pretty well. But I think the next best wide receiver on that group is Jamison Crowder, who has played well, but I just don't think he's going to be able to fill the void of the two that left. And so that's going to be a little bit of an issue. And ultimately, the big question for the Redskins is if they're going to be able to take the next step. They've made the playoffs one time, but did not end up winning. And can they actually win the NFC East with 3 deep NFC East teams that they have to beat to get there? And can they get to at least the divisional round? It's going to be tough for me to see that, but hey, weird things have happened before. Go Cubs. What do you think of this divisional matchup?
I think the Eagles are going to end up winning this one.
Eagles? Yeah, I agree. I think the Eagles are just the better team right now overall. And it's going to be fun to see. I'm looking forward to the game, though. Divisional games like this are always fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right. Steelers at Browns is our next game. Martavis Bryant is back for the Steelers, so that offense is looking very scary. And Joe Hayden comes over from the Browns, and he is going to make that secondary better. That whole defense looks better. They drafted T.J. Watt. So that linebacking core with Ryan Shazier, but Dupree looks great. This is probably the most well-rounded team that the Steelers have had, but can they beat the Pats? That's the issue. Meanwhile, the Browns, DeShone Kizer is going to be starting his first game in the NFL. It's gonna be. I think that he is gonna have a hard start maybe at first, but he looks like he has the potential to be the future quarterback of the Browns, which would be a miracle after all these years to finally find your quarterback. and Myles Garrett, the number one overall pick, is going to be interesting to watch. He wreaked havoc in the preseason. Can he wreak havoc among Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers in the first game? And then, really, the goal I think for the Browns is getting to 500. Can they do that in year two of Hugh Jackson? Will be fascinating. And by the way, for me, this is Team Chaos of the Week, Cleveland Browns.
All right.
In the end, there will be only chaos.
So I think if the Browns take down the Steelers, a lot of questions will come up. Deshaun Kaiser, I think many people might start touting Deshaun Kaiser as the future starter. The future is here for the Browns.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett and that defense. People are going to start thinking playoffs because people always over-exaggerate. And then the Steelers, people are going to be wondering, oh my God, they looked so complete. How could they blow it? It's going to cause utter chaos throughout the league. And I don't know if I can touch this right now. But go Cubs, you can go ahead.
This should have been my lock. Thinking back on it.
you could lock it up if you want.
No, I already chose it. You already played the fucking sound effect.
Sounds good.
But I still am choosing the Steelers over the Browns.
Yeah,
They have way too many strong weapons for the current fuckfest that is the Browns.
I don't think it's as much of a fuck fest as it was last year. It's
Well, yeah, they definitely have a lot more talent this year, but they're still all relatively new.
Right,
And if not rookies, new to each other.
Right, exactly. I think it's going to be a while till we actually see the Browns winning a lot, but the Steelers are they're not the greatest week one opponent to have to showcase your abilities. But I like it though. I like it. I think the Steelers are going to win it, and I think they're gonna win it pretty fairly. So that's that. All right, Cardinals at the Lions. Cardinals. This might be the final season opener for Larry Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer potentially. If this is their final chance to stay in the mix for the Super Bowl. Can they make it to Super Bowl 52? It's gonna be tough with a very holy defense. Not a lot of stars on there. They lost Calais Campbell. Their only real star up front is Chandler Jones. But they do also have Tyrann Mathieu. They have Patrick Peterson in the secondary, so they might be fine back there. But the one guy that they're going to rely on the most is David Johnson, who I think is the best running back in the league. And I think it's still close, maybe with Le'Veon Bell, but I don't know. And I think David Johnson has really, out of nowhere, has just become this amazing player, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do this season, especially if Carson Palmer still doesn't throw that much. It's going to be fun to watch. Meanwhile, the Lions are coming off a very lucky 2016. They were down in so many games, came back a bunch of times to win. I guess you could say that good teams find a way to win, but it's really dangerous where I'm pretty sure 12 of the 16 games they had to come back in order to win. And I don't think that this is a team that has a ton of talent. Stafford's, he got this big deal. Now he's the highest paid quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah. Fuck you, Derek Carr.
Yeah. I think that Stafford, he has his moments. I think that he could play pretty well. But he hasn't really shown me that he can really be a star in the league either. I can understand the Lions paying him what they did. I think if you feel like you have a quarterback in the future, you pay him whatever fucking money you get, because you can't you don't want to lose that guy because it's so hard to find another quarterback. But it's tough. It's tough for me with the Lions. I don't think that they're as good as I don't think they're playoff bound again unless they get lucky again.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this matchup?
Uh, I think that the Cardinals are going to end up winning. Their offense with as old as players as Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald are, they're still pretty talented. Combine that with David Johnson, I think their offense is just going to outperform the offense of the Lions.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals as well. It's they're just there's just more star power there.
Yeah.
There's really just so many nobodies on the Lions, and again, it was amazing to me how successful they were last year with what they had. But I doubt that they can repeat it again. So I'm with you, Cardinals, and I think by a decent chunk as well. All right, let's get this game out of the way. The Jets at the Bills.
Bills.
Well, let's just
Bills.
scan these teams though real quick.
Bills.
Both teams seem to be taking. Josh McCown is going to be stepping in as quarterback for the Jets, and he has no one else around him. It's kind of sad, unfortunately. Their best player is Jermaine Kearse, who they picked up in the trade for Sheldon Richardson. The only thing the Jets can really hang their hat on right now is that they have a deep defensive line. Love Leonard Williams. Muhammad Wilkerson still plays well, but that's not really going to be enough to win games, and it's going to be rough for the Jets. But they're probably doing it on purpose to get their quarterback in the future. But it's just going to be a hard watch. Meanwhile, the Bills are on a mini tank mode, I called it. They still have enough players to kind of win some games, but they traded Sammy Watkins. They traded Ronald Darby. Their number one wide receiver this year is going to be Jordan Matthews. And the defense, there's still issues with Marcel Darius. We don't know if he's going to have his head in the game up in Buffalo. And, I don't know. It's tough to see them winning a ton of games this year, the Bills, but, maybe that they still have enough to maybe get to like 5-6 wins. But overall, going to be a rough game to watch, and yeah. I think you've made yourself very clear who you think is going to win.
Yeah, I don't even think it's necessary to explain myself.
Yeah, no,
they're both not great, but the Bills have it's
they have star power. They have star power.
They have LaShawn McCoy.
Right, LaShawn McCoy is still one of the best running backs in the league. And
a pretty decent Tyrod Taylor.
Here's the thing though, because I completely forgot to include this in my recap here. Tyrod Taylor might not even play this week because he's in the concussion protocol, so they might be starting Nathan Peterman, who's a rookie out of Pittsburgh. But even him, he had some decent throws in the preseason. I still, oh my god, fucking dog. I think that the Bills still have a better chance than the Jets, because I just think the Jets are that loudy right now. They're not that great talented at any position except for, like I said, defensive line. And maybe Josh McCown, who has these great games and still can't win them, maybe he actually wins some games this time. But I doubt it, and I doubt that's what the Jets want to do. I think it's whatever bullshit that they're spewing about, oh, we're totally trying to win games this year. It's exactly that. It's bullshit. I'm not gonna trust them. I think the Jets are gonna try any way to lose this game, and I think Nathan Peterman's gonna go 1-0 as a quarterback to start out the season. So I as much as I hated that game and talking about it, I'm so excited to talk about this game, which I'm so sad I'm not going to watch live. It is the Buccaneers at the Dolphins, the Battle of Florida. And I'm really looking forward to this one. You have Buccaneers, who I think are playoff bound. They just added TJ Ward to their secondary. Their defense looks great, and their offense looks awesome. So many weapons. Deshaun Jackson's now there. You have O.J. Howard, who was a tight end out of Alabama, who was very fun to watch in the championship games. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he can do over there in Tampa. Jameis Winston needs to not throw as many stupid balls. But once he does not do that anymore, there's a really good chance that this team could get to the playoffs and even go deep. Meanwhile, your old friend, Go Cubs, Mr. Jay
Yep.
Cutler, is now the starting quarterback of the Dolphins after agreeing to a deal to work at NFL on Fox. He is now a quarterback for the Dolphins after Ryan Tannehill went down with the season-ending injury. Julius Thomas is going to be a new weapon that he gets to throw to as well. And they still have Jarvis Landry, who they were thinking about trading, but I don't think that's going to happen. Devontae Parker has been Jay Cutler's best friend in the preseason, so we'll see if he ends up making a leap as well. You still have Jay Ajayi, but the defense still kind of worries me, and the line's great with Sue and Wake and all of them, but I don't know if I trust the back end as much still. So are they still a playoff team? We'll have to see. But it's so weird to read the Dolphins and playoff teams in the same sentence still. Not to take a shot at the Dolphins, but it's still weird to me, considering where they were, I guess, in 2015. But all right, where do you think this game's going to go?
This was another close one to me, but I think with all the weapons that they have and with how, I don't care if he looked impressive during preseason camp, Cutler is trash. I have the Buccaneers over the Dolphins.
Yeah, same. I really like the Buccaneers this year. I think it's gonna be a very close game. I think Cutler is going to play better than most expect in terms of working with Adam Gase again, but I don't think he's gonna come close to what Jameis Winston and what he has been able to do. I think the Buccaneers are gonna win it in Florida. Now, we should also note that Hurricane Irma is barreling towards Florida right now.
Oh,
so
great.
we don't know, or I mean, it might go in a different direction. It might go back out to the Atlantic Oceans. No one knows what the fuck is happening with that hurricane, but there is a chance that game is canceled or just moved to a different date. I don't really know what's happening there, but we'll put our predictions in. We'll if we have to return to a certain date and predict this again, we'll see what happens. All right. We now going from Buccaneers at Dolphins, we are going to Ravens at Bengals. Another divisional game in the AFC North. Ravens are just injury riddled. They are just losing people left and right, and it's gonna be tough to see. Joe Flacco is now returning from a back injury. I don't know if he'll be playing well right out of the gate. But he does have a nice wide receiver in Jeremy Maclin who returns, although I think Mike Wallace might be starting ahead of him for whatever reason that is. And the defense, the Ravens are known for their defense. Can they still play at a high level? We'll have to see. But they now have two great safeties. You had Eric Well, who they added last year, and then this year they have Tony Jefferson from the Cardinals, who played very well for them. So we'll see if that can work out for the Baltimore Ravens. Meanwhile, the Bengals. I wrote down Andy Dalton isn't mediocre, because he isn't. He's been playing very well in the past few years. So anyone saying otherwise, they need to kind of watch the tape, because he's been playing pretty well for the team. But what's scaring me a lot is their offensive line. They lost two great starters this offseason, and they did not do anything to replace them. So that's going to be a big concern going into this season. And it's overall a younger team than what the Bengals have had in the past. So maybe that could work to their advantage, but it also opens up the doors of players not really knowing what the fuck they're doing. So we'll see. What do you think is going to happen in this battle?
I thought this was pretty close. I made my decision, and then you mentioned the injuries that I'd forgotten about, and that kind of solidifies my decision a bit more. I honestly like the Bengals a lot. They have a lot of really, really cool players to watch, particularly Andy Dalton and AJ Green, even Tyler Eifert when he's healthy and not injured, which he won't be to start this season, which is good.
Right.
I think.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And Eifert's one of the deadliest red zone weapons there is. So I think the Bengals are going to take this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to go with the Bengals, and I'm not as high on the Bengals as other people have been. People see them as a playoff team. I think the offensive line is going to play a real factor in this season for the Bengals. But if their defense plays well, just they could be like the Seahawks and end up just relying on them as much as possible. And Andy Dalton just tries to make as many plays as possible before getting sacked. We'll see. But I agree. I think the Bengals are just the better team right now. Ravens, this is not looking like it's gonna be a strong game or a strong season for them. Yeah. It's gonna be rough with losing as many players as they've already have. All right, Jaguars at Texans. This is Blake Bortles' last stand. He needs to play well, or else he's gonna be booted. And I mean, we've seen first overall picks, or at least or first round quarterbacks go from being on a team to just kick to the curb and no one wants them really quick. So he needs this season, and he needs it badly. But luckily for the Jaguars, they do have someone who I think can work really well for them at running back, and that's Leonard Fournette, drafted out of LSU. He was one of the best college football running backs ever, and he could really make this team better. But he has had an injury issues in the past, so we'll see if that catches up with him. And then the Jaguars need to rely on their defense. They have an amazing defense. They added Campbell. They have dual quarterbacks in Jalen Ramsey and AJ Boye, who that's gonna make that secondary much better. Miles Jack has had a breakout rookie year, coming off of an injury, and he's gonna be captaining the linebacking core. It's going to be a really fun defense to watch, but they need to play really well, because I don't know if they can rely on Blake Bortles to win games for them. So, they have to be like the Texans. Which, speaking of which, you have the Texans playing in their first game since Hurricane Harvey, and you have to admit that's going to be a factor in this game, because
totally.
if the Texans players, who some of them have lived in Houston for a little while now, if they can't get their mind in the game, that might hurt them, in terms of their chances for winning. And I don't necessarily blame them, if they can't get their mind into it, but it's going to play a huge role, I think. Going back to the football side of it, though, Tom Savage is getting the start over Deshaun Watson, who had a mediocre preseason, to say the least, and it was a little sad to see him not play as well as people thought he would. But I think after a year, he could develop into a great quarterback. But Tom Savage gets the start. Can he deal with only having one truly great wide receiver, the DeAndre Hopkins? But I think this is another team that will have to rely on its defense, and we will maybe see J.J. Watt coming back after being off almost the whole season last year with an injury, and Davian Clowney, who stepped up big time in Watt's absence. Can both of them dominate at the same time? And if they can, oh boy, that's gonna be fun. So, what do you think is going to happen in this one?
Yeah, I've got the Texans over the Jaguars in this one. I think that seems like a pretty safe pick, and I think the Jaguars, maybe not this year, but in a couple years or so, are going to end up being a really good team.
Yeah, it really just depends on if they can find their quarterback, and that's the one thing that's held them back. And it's a shame, honestly, because I kind of rooted for Blake Bortles to get better, but he just seems not to do so ever. He constantly just lets the team down, and luckily this upcoming draft is going to be a deep one for quarterback, so maybe they could find a quarterback in the future in this one. So who knows? But yeah, I agree. I'm going with the Texans. I think it's the safest pick to go with. And they just they've been a playoff team. They're gonna get two all-stars back together, with Juan Clowney. I'm going with them. All right, best game of the 4 o'clock slate, and that is the Seattle Seahawks heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers. And the Seahawks had an interesting past few days, specifically in acquiring Sheldon Richardson from the Jets, which automatically makes that defense much, much better than what they originally were, like before that. And that defense was already like one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL.
Yeah.
They also have Eddie Lacy at running back now. He's going to be doing some rotations with Thomas Rawls, but this is going to be the Eddie Lacy revenge game. Can he play at a significant level? And then you have the constant issue with the Seahawks is really their offensive line. Can they keep their offensive line together and can Russell Wilson get passes out in time? Can they make sure that he doesn't get hurt is going to be the key thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers, Aaron Rodgers was dominant in his winning streak last season. They made it all the way to the NFC Championship before getting blown out by the Falcons, but he has a potential to do really well. Martellus Bennett is now his tight end, and they're going to be using him a lot in the same way that they use Jared Cook a lot. But the biggest concern, I think, for the Packers is that their defense just still is not fixed. I just don't think that they still don't really have the players to say that they, that everything is working out great. That they're going to be able to have a strong defense. I don't see it really happening right now, but maybe I'll be wrong. So, what do you think about this juggernaut of a matchup?
Given the the prestige that Seattle's defense kind of has right now, I think that they'll be able to shut down Green Bay's offense, and with Wilson passing to Doug Baldwin and Jimmy Graham, I think that their passing game is going to be super strong, and it'll be enough to topple the Cheeseheads.
All right, yeah, I'm with you. I think the Seahawks are going to win, and this is going to be. I think right now the Seahawks are the favorite in the NFC, and this would be a very strong win if they can win on the road against Green Bay. I'm really looking forward to this game. That's going to be so much fun to watch live. So it's a good game to start out, NFL. Good game to start it out. All right.
Yep.
Colts at Rams. Oh, boy. Andrew Luck is going to be out for quite some time.
Colts are out of luck.
Leave. No kidding. Luck is probably not going to be going to be back for the Colts until probably at least maybe week 4, week 5, or at most week 4, week 5, because they, based off of some of the doctors that are on Twitter, the sports doctors, they're saying he might not be even 100% until week 12. So this is going to be a really rough going for the Colts this season if they're going to be without him, and they have to deal with Scott Tolzien, which really why Colts? Why Scott Tolzien? Why Scott Tolzien? Why you have to make him start? Why? This is going to be Frank Gore's time to shine. He's on the end of his career, but he's been playing pretty well. He needs to be able to carry this team through carries, because I don't think Scott Tolzien will be able to do so through the air. And they also are missing Vontae Davis, their best defensive player, for the next few weeks. And, really the only person I can really say is going to step up for them, and who I think has been underrated, is Jonathan Hankins, who comes over from the Giants, which I know there's a little bias there, but he's been playing very well, and I think that he's going to make that defensive line better, but it's not going to be enough for the Colts. This is going to be a really rough season for them if they don't get Luck back soon, and they better not rush him, because they don't want to ruin his career either. Rams, meanwhile, might be without Aaron Donald to start the season, because he's holding out for a better contract. So there's a chance that he might not even show up to this game. And if that's the case, the defense immediately is not as great as they thought, but this is still a better defense than what the Colts are currently going to have out there. And the offense is going to be fascinating to watch, because Sean McVay, who I love, I was talking to you off camera, he had a great mind when dealing with Kirk Cousins back in Washington the past few seasons, and him taking over for Jared Goff can maybe tailor this offense to really use Jared Goff's his talents, and they get Sammy Watkins from Buffalo, who is going to be a great asset to them. They have Cooper Kupp, who was a very underrated wide receiver in this draft because he's coming out of a FCS school. And you have Gerald Everett. You still have Tavon Austin. There's still a lot of great offensive players for this Rams team, and can McVay use Goff's skill set to win games? It's gonna be fascinating to watch that aspect of it, and I'm looking forward to this game just for the Rams. The Colts are going to be miserable. So you might tell where I stand, but Gocubs, where do you stand on this game?
I do think that the Colts are going to be pretty miserable without Luck, but I just can't right now. I can't physically bring myself to say that they'll win.
You can't say that the Rams will win. You said.
I don't think that the Rams are going to win.
Okay, so you say the Colts are going to win. Yeah.
Well, Colts are going to win even without Luck. And Luck being absent has made me refuse to pick up T.Y. Hilton, for example,
right.
In fantasy. This is a hard matchup, not because both teams are good or bad right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think despite all that I just said.
Yeah, I think that the Colts do have a lot of talent on the offense, but there's still questions about their offensive line. They lost Ryan Kelly for a good amount of time too, and it's tough to see Tolzien lighting it up against a Rams secondary that still has Jermaine Johnson, who he has played pretty well. I just think the Rams defense will be able to hold back an offense that is quarterbacked by him, and I don't know right now. I think I have a lot of faith in what the Rams have shown in the preseason in terms of offensively. That I think I could pick the Rams and feel comfortable about it, but you know what? Honestly, it could go either way. You never know. And if the Colts can pick up this win, that's going to be huge for them going forward. Because if they can win without Luck, that's kind of a play on words. But if they can win without him, then that's going to be huge for them. And once they do get him back, that could be big. So, all right, let's go to Panthers at Niners. The Panthers, they have the addition of Christian McCaffrey from Stanford. He's returning to the Bay Area to take on the Niners now, and he's going to be probably in rotation with Jonathan Stewart, so he's not just a start, but he is going to be a huge factor, I think, on offense. Yeah. And the linebacking core has Julius Peppers now, who has had some great seasons with the Panthers before, but he's been with the Bears and the Packers as well. So him along with Kuechly and Davis is going to make this defense very, very very fun to watch. My biggest concerns for the Panthers are really their offensive line. Can they still protect Cam Newton? Their secondary I still have issues with. I don't know if they can really stop wide receivers. And then the Panthers wide receivers alone. I mean, they just Kelvin Benjamin has not really returned to his rookie season form. He needs to get better. Meanwhile, the Niners, Brian Hoyer is the starting quarterback. Shanahan, Shanahan is reunited with Hoyer. Both of them played, Hoyer played for the Browns when Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, and that was a team that went 7-4 to start the season. That was a really fun Browns team, and it would be interesting to see if they can kind of reclaim that. They have a good amount of weapons. Carlos Hyde, I think, he's getting back on my radar as someone who's been pretty good.
Underrated, I think.
Yeah, absolutely underrated. Definitely someone that is gonna come out of the probably could end up being among the great running backs of the season because he has no competition. I think the next competition he has is a fullback. Like he's good right now. And that defense could actually be underrated. They have Solomon Thomas, they have Reuben Foster, these two great rookies, mixed with Navarro Bowman. They still have Eric Reed in the secondary, who has played well for them as well. Up front, they have Ark Armstead, DeForest Buckner, who are also going into their second and third years respectively, they can absolutely dominate the line scrimmage. This could be a closer game than we think. What do you think?
I didn't know all that stuff about the 49ers. But
fair enough.
But I am the Panthers right now are my second favorite team.
Mm-hmm.
But behind the Bears, so they're my favorite team that actually has a shot at doing shit this season.
Right.
And even if Kelvin isn't as good this year, I think the combination of McCaffrey and Stewart, having Greg Olsen, who just got a new huge contract, along with Ken Newton, who if he gets himself to where he was 2 years ago and not how he was last year, combined with a very stellar, as far as I'm concerned, with Luke Kuechly and some others. I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit here and there. I don't know if that's if that's your internet or not, but
that might be my internet.
But I'm thinking about this game a lot, and at first I thought, okay, yeah, Panthers easily picked, but I don't know. I'm starting to get concerned about this Panthers team because of those aspects. And look, I think Greg Olsen, he's going to be a huge factor for that offense right now, and he's proved it before that he's been reliable for them. But they're going to need him big time this season if the wide receivers can't step up. I don't know. There's just something about the Niners right now. I can't believe I'm saying this either, but there's something about the Niners and the way they start the season. The past 2 years, they have these dominant performances. Granted, last year it was against the Rams, but the year before that, they had not that great of a team, and they beat the Vikings, who were a playoff team that year. And I don't know. I feel like if this was my Team Chaos game of the week, I would pick the Niners right now, and that would be, I do think they're a candidate for that, and I think I'm going to pick the Niners. There's something about it. There's something a little edgy about it, but they seem like they could be an interesting game.
I'm going to stick with the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. This is just how my thinking right now. All right, time to get into prime time Sunday night. Giants at the Cowboys. For the Giants, Eli has gotten a lot of help this offseason. They added Evan Ingram. They added Brandon Marshall. There's a lot of great weapons there, but the concern really is their running backs and their offensive line. They're not going to be able to run the ball, so can you rely on Eli to throw a decent football? And I don't know if that's going to be the case right now. The defense has remained the same, really. I mean, despite losing Hankins, that defense is still going to be very dominant. It has a lot of great players on it, and the Cowboys struggled both times against the Giants defense, so it'll be interesting to see. But the key factor right now for this game, will Odell Beckham Jr. be healthy? Because if he's not, that's going to really hurt the Giants' chances of winning this game. If he's not healthy, but if he is healthy and he is playing, they have a pretty decent shot. With the Cowboys now, things are interesting. That we're recording this on Monday, on Labor Day. By Wednesday, we might get a ruling of where this the suspension is for
suspension.
Yeah, where his suspension is for Ezekiel Elliott. Right now, even if there's a suspension upheld the way that they've set up the courts, I think, is that the suspension can be temporarily, like, kind of like what happened with Brady, where the suspension
Yeah.
will be lifted while they're going through the legal process, and it seems like no matter what happens, Zeke is going to end up playing. So if he does, that's going to be huge for the Cowboys. And they're going to go. They're going into the second year of Dak Prescott. People are hoping that he could take the leap. The biggest concern outside of Zeke's suspension, though, is the defense. The Cowboys' defense still is not that great, and I don't know if it's probably gonna be really easy to slow down Eli Manning, but I don't know, like I don't know if they're gonna be able to step up big time if it's gonna be like a last minute drive. It's tough with that defense to really describe how they do. But it's gonna be a close game. What do you think is gonna happen, Go Cubs?
Uh, I'm sort of making this prediction in the uh, uh, in the idea that Zeke's probably going to be at least Zeke misses week 1. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
You're thinking he
It's
misses
more
it.
likely that he misses it. I know it seems more likely that he's actually going to make it now, but uh, the Cowboys also are going from what I read at one point, the easiest schedules in the NFL to now having one of the hardest. And I think that kind of a shot change up how Dak Prescott, even if he does play, are gonna kind of are gonna function. Like
Right.
they're gonna play differently. And be in for a shock this season overall. Obviously, they played, but they lost to the Giants both times. So I think the Giants are going to win this one.
Yeah, it's tough with this one. I just maybe it's just me as just be pessimistic as for the team that I root for, the Giants. My biggest concern is going to be Eli, especially behind a bad offensive line. If they're going to be able to, if he's going to be able to stay in there long enough in order to throw the ball, and usually Odell Beckham's always there to catch it. But if he's not there, who's going to step up? I would right now be kind of concerned if OBJ does not play in that game. But that defense, yeah, like you said, that defense for the Giants was incredible last year, and they really did not let the Cowboys get a yardage on them. Um, it's tough. It's tough for me to say. I think your argument kind of swayed me there. I think I might go with the Giants. I was thinking Cowboys because something has to give at some point for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But I think you have a good point. I think that there's a better chance right now that the Giants win it, considering the situation that they're in. That they have the defense that they do. That I don't think that the Cowboys are going to necessarily win it. So I'll go with the Giants. All right, Monday Night Football. I love this doubleheader. You got the Saints and Vikings. The Saints, they have Adrian Peterson now, who will probably be in rotation with Mark Ingram, but I think it will be fascinating to watch him play against his former team. It will be the Adrian Peterson revenge game. Now Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game, honestly, and he loses Brandon Cooks, but I don't think that's going to impact him too bad. I mean, I think he can make like I'll use this analogy again, but he could pretty much make a ham sandwich look like a fucking amazing, like have like a 1,000 yards receiving season. Like he's that good of a quarterback, I think.
Yeah.
And that the biggest concern with him or with that Saints team is always and continues to be that defense. They cannot fix their defense for the life of them. Is this finally the year we're going to have to watch to find out? The Vikings, meanwhile, get Dalvin Cook as their replacement for Adrian Peterson, who he's had a pretty solid preseason. He looks like he could be a really good player, not necessarily the like not necessarily Adrian Peterson level of play, but definitely a good start, and they might be able to run the ball pretty well. Um, Sam Bradford, he needs to take more risks. He had a pretty good season last year, but he needs to throw the ball deep. He just takes way too many checkdowns, easy throws. That's why his passer rating was through the roof. He needs to take way more risk. But luckily, it's pretty much the opposite situation on defense with the Saints than with these Vikings. They have a very kick butt defense, and up front they're strong. In the back they're strong. It's just overall there is just a strong team on defense. But can Drew Brees expose that? Go Cubs. What do you think?
More of like a personal decision, I think, but I have. I know that Willie Snead is going to be out for, which is one less weapon for Breeze, but combined with Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson, like I saw something earlier, he wants to fucking show off at this game.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to go kind of batshit. Mark Ingram is one of the best quarterbacks ever.
Yeah.
So
you're.
I think the Saints have the upper hand.
All right, the Saints. I'm gonna go opposite. I'll go Vikings. I think
Nice.
the Saints.
Nice birthday doubleheader for you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I keep on forgetting, man. I my birthday. It's like an afterthought. I care more about football at this point. The thing about the Vikings to me is that they do have a playoff team, but the Saints have a playoff offense as well, and I think that as good as the Saints offense is, I'm very, very concerned about the defense. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I do think that.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with the Vikings because I just think that they have on both sides of the ball something to look forward to. While on the Saints, it's really one-sided. I just don't know if the defense on the Saints is fixed. They might be though, and I think that the Saints have a very good shot at winning that game. But to me, the Vikings have the slight edge because I think it's just a more balanced team than the Saints right now.
Sure.
All right, Chargers at the Broncos. We end with a divisional game in the AFC at 10 o'clock. This is a fun game too because it'll be called by Beth Mowins. I think this is going to be the first NFL game in a while that will be called by a woman on TV.
Awesome.
So really cool, and she does a lot of college football. I've listened to her games. She's very, very exciting to listen to. A lot of energy. People hate her for some reason. You could probably assume what those reasons are. Yeah. Chargers. Meanwhile, they're a much better team overall this year than they have in the past, and that's mainly because there's not as many injuries. They're definitely a last to first candidate in my eyes, and it's gonna be a very fun team to watch with Anthony Lynn at the helm. Meanwhile, the Broncos lost DeMarcus Ware. He retires. TJ Ward, they cut him. He's out. And so that defense is not looking as strong as they used to be. Meanwhile, on offense, though, they're rolling with the same quarterback. They're rolling with the same running back, the same wide receivers. Pretty much everything's pretty much the same. Their offensive lines are looking a little bit better. But the key thing for them is that a wild Jamal Charles has appeared. He is the star. He was the star of the Chiefs for quite a few years. The concern is that he might not be healthy. Or rather, he hasn't been healthy for the past few years, but going into this game, he is the healthiest he has been in the past few years, and maybe he actually comes out and plays at a really high level. He may take over the starting running back position. Who knows? It could be very interesting to watch. Go, Cuz, what do you got?
So you probably already guessed this, but this is my Team Chaos pick because it's the Last one. I have the Chargers over the Broncos.
The Chargers over the Broncos. That was your team chaos pick. I love it.
Yeah.
Uh, so you
Team chaos was just compared to last. How pretty good the Broncos were and how pretty.
Oh God. Okay, you're cutting out
Yeah.
big time now. So you think you're thinking Chargers? Chargers are going to the Chargers are going to win, and and you're so that's a team chaos pick right there.
Yeah.
That's utter chaos right there. And you know what? I'm gonna walk into the explosion with you. I'm going with the Chargers. And I think, the two teams that we've now labeled as Team Chaos, the Browns and the Chargers, are vastly different. Because I think the Chargers are like overall a better team than the Browns are.
Yeah.
But I do like this. Go ahead.
The Chargers were the only team to lose to the Browns last year.
That is a factor. But I think a lot of that though was injuries, to be fair. But I'm with you. I think the Chargers are going to be the Chargers are going to be fascinating to watch this season. If they can beat the Broncos at home or at Denver. They did it last year on Thursday Night Football. They could do it again this time, and again, I think this is overall a better team than the Broncos are. Broncos are candidate to kind of drop to fourth place, which is kind of surreal considering
really weird.
Yeah, if
2 seasons ago they were Super.
Yeah, they were Super Bowl champions. It's insane. All right, that is our week 1 NFL picks.
Fucking long time.
Yeah, well, a lot of it, I think it will be quicker next time because there's just a lot to kind of unpack with the off season, and it's all leading up to this. But let's do a quick look at the playoffs and who we think can make the playoffs. So we're gonna do 2 different sets of predictions here. We're gonna do what we pretty much think is going to happen, what we think is most likely, but then we're also gonna do a little bit of a dream scenario. Things that could happen, but most likely won't. And it'll be pretty interesting to watch. So why don't you get us started, Go Cubs, with what you think is probably going to happen for the playoffs this year?
All right. In any specific order. But I have the NFC playoff teams are Washington, Green Bay, Carolina, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Detroit.
Okay.
For AFC, Pittsburgh, Houston, Oakland, Cincinnati, and Kansas City.
Okay, interesting. All right, and then can you list off the AFC one more time because I think you cut out real quick.
Yeah. Steelers, Texans, Raiders, Bengals, and Chiefs.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah, I have for my realistic playoffs predictions, and again, this is not in any order, but this is just the division winners and the wild cards. I have the Eagles, Packers, Falcons, Seahawks, Buccaneers, and Vikings. I have and on the AFC, I have the Patriots, the Steelers, the Titans, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Texans as the AFC. And who do you think what do you think the probable matchup for Super Bowl 52 is going to be?
Seahawks, Patriots, but the Seahawks are going to win.
Dude, you and I are on the same wave. Like I said, Seahawks are going to win over the Patriots. I think because I still think that while the Patriots have a great offense, the Seahawks defense controlled a lot of Super Bowl 49. It came down to one last.
If they just ran the ball.
Right. That's gonna be a fun game to watch. I do think that the Seahawks are going to win that though. Defense is gonna be historic. In my view, at least. All right, let's have some fun. In your dreams, what is the playoff teams for this season?
All right. So I do want to preface this is that that the Bears, I don't think they are going to make the playoffs even in my dreams.
Which is sad, but it's
All right.
alright.
So NFC, Giants, Lions, Panthers, Cardinals are the division. Falcons and Seahawks.
Okay.
In the AFC, Patriots, Bengals, Jaguars, Raiders, and then as the division winners, and then Texans and Chargers as wild cards.
All right.
The matchups are Carolina versus Detroit and Jacksonville versus Cincinnati, and then the Super Bowl is Carolina defeating Cincinnati, ultimate Cat Bowl.
This is Cat Ball makes a return.
Cat Bowl will make a return always until it happens.
There you go. Hey! You never know. Miracles can happen. It's likely. Who knows? All right. Meanwhile, as for my dream picks, it will be the Giants, Vikings, Buccaneers, Seahawks, and then the wild cards Rams and Falcons.
Ooh.
And then the AFC, you have the Dolphins, the Browns, the Titans, the Raiders, and then the wild card Jaguars and Bengals. Just to make a note real quick, the Dolphins winning in the AFC East and the Browns winning the AFC North will never happen, but it is at least it would make things very, very interesting.
Right.
I would enjoy that, and the Rams probably make it wild card will never happen this season, but hey, I have confidence in Sean McVay. And my Super Bowl will have the Buccaneers winning it over the Tennessee Titans in a one.
That would be one of my favorite games ever to watch.
I would absolutely love it. I don't know what would be like my NFC Championship and AFC Championship matchup. I think
with the Cat Bowl. So
yeah. Whatever. I think you know what? I'll say my AFC Championship matchup would be Titans and Jaguars.
All right.
And it would be Buccaneers. I would do Buccaneers versus Vikings would be interesting to see. I think I have all the. No, you wouldn't know. Buccaneers Falcons. We'll make it a divisional matchup.
So all South.
Say again.
All South.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the divisional matchups for the. I think that's always cool is the divisional matchup in the NFC or AFC Championship game or in the playoffs in general.
Unless it's the 2011 NFC divisional matchup.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got the Packers Bears. That was interesting. Sorry about that, by the way.
That was the beginning of my hatred for Cutler. I was like, oh, he's okay up until then.
Yeah, right.
And then he bitched out.
Oh my god. It's just it really is going to be a fun year though. I think what we're going to see is I had really high expectations before the preseason. I've kind of toned it down a little bit, but I think this is going to be one of my favorite seasons to watch. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of fun, weird storylines to follow. I think as I really feel bad for Edelman, but I think with that injury, it makes the Patriots a little bit more mortal. In the sense that, and I think it will make things a little bit more interesting leading up to the Super Bowl. You have I think the Patriots are not like far and away the better team than everyone else. I think it's come closer, especially I think with the Seahawks picking up Sheldon Richardson, and then the NFC just being as wild and crazy as it always is. And maybe you'll have some fight from the AFC with the Steelers, the Raiders, the Titans, whoever you want to call it. Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, whatever. But yeah, I think that really takes care of that episode. I really enjoyed this. I'm gonna make sure we keep track of all the the Team Chaos picks and the Game T picks and every single pick that we make, and we're gonna try to see how we do. I'll try to figure out some kind of point system to go along with it. I think if a Team Chaos wins a game, we'll do like 3 points.
Sounds good.
And if they don't win, I don't know if we'll necessarily take any points away. But the guarantee is the key. The guarantee. If you lose that one, you look like an ass. So Falcons, please win. Please win.
Kind of like if you the fantasy games that are.
Yeah. I think what's going to be fascinating to watch is just how everything comes together, how all these teams, they've been doing all these practices and preseasons, and let's see if it all actually looks good on the field, But yeah, an hour and a half later, we have completed this podcast.
Yep.
Thank you all so much for watching our first NFL Week 1 or NFL podcast. This should be a very fun season. These should be coming up every Wednesday. You'll see a new episode. Go Cubs or not Go Cubs. Mr. Busy with Marching Band. Yeah, we'll see. But we're gonna be signing off with this little jingle. If it's gonna work. One. There you go. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Be good to one another. Be good to one another. And we'll see you again next time.
So
goodbye.
long.